What's up, Legion? Greetings and salutations. This is I Still Call It a Lariat. We are a pro wrestling podcast. We are making steps in the right direction. This is the first time in weeks we are producing all of our normal content during the week. With me as usual is my partner in crime, my tag team partner, the Indigo to my Wesley, or the Wesley to my Indigo, depending on how we look at it. The Flair to my Steamboat, even. Mr. Showtime, Michael Wright. How you doing today, Mike?
Oh, you know me, Steven. I'm living the dream. And it's Inigo, not Indigo. He's not a color.
That's fair. And welcome back. You and Hound both were suffering from what we like to call, coming from the New Jersey, the death.
Oh, my goodness. I've been sick 3 times in 3 weeks. Different things. I don't understand. Apologies for my nasally sound today as well, folks. There's these things that they're called, I think, children, I think they call them. I just call them big bags of germs. One of the things that drives me nuts is you send kids to daycare because it helps build their immune system. Then they bring home these germs. I went to daycare. I have a built immune system, and it kicks my butt every single time. Man, 3 different illnesses in 3 weeks. I can't keep up with this.
I mean, it's the end of days anyway. It's blizzarding in Florida. It's
cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. I get it.
We're about to get Idiocracy soon. I just assume.
Soon?
Soon. I think that's going to happen soon.
I've seen the number of people wearing Crocs.
It's a large number. Oh, man. So let's give our shout out to our nonprofits that we do. First, of course, is Tap Cancer Out, a series of jiu-jitsu tournaments that help support Alex's Lemonade Stand, American Brain Tumor Association, Isabel Santos Foundation, Little Pink Houses of Hope, Camp Sunshine, Christopher's Haven, the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center at Johns Hopkins, CureCervicalCancer.org, First Descents, and of course everyone's favorite, Tom Coughlin's J Fund. I didn't want to make you go too hard on that one.
That's right.
That one almost killed Hound the other day. The other one that we, of course, are supporting is the American Red Cross and their varying disaster relief funds. This helps out with everything from the hurricanes to this inclement winter weather to the fires out in California, all of it. Folks, please, again, people helping people, help out as best you can. The links for all of these are in the description below. And our last nonprofit that we are supporting is the one that is probably the nearest and dearest to our hearts. And that is, of course, Chris Bay's GoFundMe. Showtime is actually the one who let me know that there were reports of him being able to walk again.
Yep.
Any positive news coming from that is amazing. Obviously, non-selfishly, we want Chris Bay to be able to just live and have a pain-free life after all of this. Selfishly, I want to see Chris Bay get back in the ring and do what he is best at, which is putting on banger matches. So, Chris, as always, brother, our prayers are with you. Please get well as soon as possible. But Showtime, I heard there's a rumor that on these shows we're supposed to talk about actual pro wrestling.
Well, I couldn't help myself when you were talking about the Red Cross, and it's no joking manner, but when you said all of the hurricanes, all I could think of was Helms. I wanted to go like this. No, yes, let's move on before I get myself in trouble. For one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen last night on Raw.
We will talk a little bit more about it during our Raw coverage, obviously, but JD McDonough does a springboard moonsault onto, I believe it was Ivar of the War Raiders. And when he hits and lands, he just falls backwards and nails that big dome of his on the commentary booth. I feel bad saying it like that, but he apparently has broken some ribs and punctured a lung. After this happened, he wrestled like 7 to 10 more minutes. I didn't realize
he took a massive knee to the head. Like I was
I watched.
astounded.
I was gonna say I knew about what happened before I had gotten a chance to watch what happened, and I didn't realize it happened so early in the match.
It
JD McDonough
was
might be
insane.
my hero. I want to be him when I grow up.
He turned Michael Cole last night, where like Michael Cole is not a fan of the Judgment Day by any means, and he will go hard on them. But I think he turned Michael Cole last night. Like moving forward, JD McDonough is going to get pops from Michael Cole moving forward.
He might be a babyface after this.
He hits the moonsault. It was such a pretty moonsault, and maybe just a little bit too pretty for the space that he had. And he just falls backwards and just destroys the back of his head. And then all of the injuries around broken ribs and a punctured lung. If you noticed, nothing has anything about a head injury in there. I don't know. I hope he's a speedy recovery. It sounds like he'll be out for about a month. It was devastating. I went from, because the moonsault was so pretty, I went from like, ooh, look at that kaboom. So I hope JD McDonough gets healthy soon with all of those injuries. I hope they take an extra close look at his head. Head injuries are no joke, particularly in wrestling. Not that they're a joke anywhere, but in wrestling you can get them, and they've been ignored for so long. I know the WWE does a really good job nowadays with head injuries in general and taking them very serious. So hopefully that all works out with him and go from there. But man, getting up and finishing that match is just.
I'm pretty sure JD McDonough might be the toughest man since Danny Hodge at this point, because I could believe that JD McDonough would punch his way out of the car so that he didn't die.
Yeah, I mean, he'd headbutt his way out of the car, not punch it.
At this point, yeah. All right, so next little bit of news is Jordynne Grace officially signs her WWE contract. To coincide with this, I'm just going to subnote that Jonathan Gresham's TNA contract has expired.
That I don't think I heard that. I didn't realize
so that was actually confirmed by Jordynne Grace. I believe she went on to a podcast similar to our own, and they have note that she literally said that his contract is also expired. So she signed her WWE contract. His contract let out. I believe they will probably. I think he'll figure out something to do. He'll either go to NXT, or honestly, I think he might end up in AEW. Unfortunately for him,
I hope not.
I don't think he's a fit for it, but we'll see. Jordynne Grace going to WWE though is dope. This is gonna be big for her.
This is long overdue. There's one that's long overdue and one that I did not see coming. I hadn't even heard speculation that his was going to run out like that. Jonathan Gresham on TNA was actually, I think, the perfect fit for him. Like, I feel like other places he might get lost in the shuffle, particularly AEW. I hate when people go to AEW when they're not like a big star, because it's just so easy to get lost in that roster. And TNA, it's easier to stand out, which would be great for him and be closer in this vein. But I hope they figure out a way to keep him on TNA if he can, because I think that is really the best place for him.
I would like that. Honestly, the only other place I could see him going that he doesn't get lost in the shuffle is Japan.
Sure.
And at least he can still make a living doing that. But I'd like to see him stay in TNA too, because especially with TNA and WWE's business arrangement now, that kind of keeps him and Jordan working in close proximity, and they are married. So I would, I like to see cohesion like that.
Sure.
But Showtime, what are we thinking about Jordynne Grace WWE contract?
It's long overdue. She's I'm dying for her to be there. I hope they don't bring her to NXT. She's already done her NXT work. She's, in my opinion, straight to the main roster, straight to SmackDown is where I'd like to see her go. I think there's a lot of noise on Raw right now. There's a lot of talent there. I'd like to see her go there. If she goes to Raw instead of SmackDown, I would like to see her feud for the IC title. IC title, yeah, IC title.
I would like that.
And because I think that would be good. Though I feel like every one of Lyra's matches feels overly practiced, overly choreographed, and we don't need that. Whereas, and if Jordan Grace goes to SmackDown, I think you see her right in the main event.
I could see that as well. Although I would not mind seeing Jordan Grace go to SmackDown and feuding with Chelsea Green for the U.S. title.
I don't want to see that because I want to see Chelsea Green hang on to that title for a little while. I feel like if Jordan Grace comes in, it's only a matter of seconds before she takes that title.
Before she takes that belt.
Yeah. So in that situation where I feel like this could be a good, even if she could even lose to Tiffany and not lose too much face for the secondary title. I don't think it's really the right move. I might even just talk myself into rather seeing her go to Raw. To take the title off of Lyra Valkyria. I think that whole class, they kind of use those call-ups from NXT to make other people look good. And that's why I was even surprised that Lyra won the belt in the first place rather than Dakota Kai taking that down. So I could see her going in there and taking that title and just really making the IC title her own fit for the time being.
I think that would definitely be cool. So with her leaving TNA, I think we should start talking about TNA. They put on a really good episode this week. This is their follow-up to the Genesis pay-per-view. This is also the first live episode of TNA Impact in 8 years. And they did not disappoint me.
Yeah, not at all. And I like to see, like, I feel like a pre-tape show always feels pre-taped.
Always.
Like, there is such a difference behind it, and I think TNA is a place that actually benefits from being live. The smaller stadium, the smaller crowds is one thing, but it has that, like, extra energy that comes along with being live.
Well, and what's more is their crowds are starting to get bigger. They're starting to get slightly bigger. They don't need 10,000 seat arenas, but they're starting to sit in that 2,000, 3,000, maybe even 5,000 seat arena spot, which is nice. I said this to Hound on my episode with him. Say what you will about TNA just surviving, which is kind of what they did for a long time. They just survived until they were able to dig themselves out of the hole that they were in at the time. But TNA, when it first came out, was hot. And it stayed hot. And ran bigger buildings and stayed hotter for much longer than AEW has at this point.
Yeah, there was just such a hole that needed to be filled in that moment in time. Whereas I think when TNA kind of ended its top tier status, there was less of a need for it. Like WCW ending in just such a fizzle when it was so hot. Like we needed a secondary promotion at that point in time. AEW didn't come. I don't think AEW came to fruition because the fans needed a secondary place to go. I think it's because the wrestlers need a secondary place to go. It's a different need.
I agree with that. Also, TNA kind of set themselves aside pretty quickly as being different than WWE. So it's a completely different entity altogether. Even now, it feels different.
Yeah, and having like the rebirth of the NWA when they first started was something that I think helped them along, gave them more of that territory feel as well.
Or NWA World Heavyweight title that just gets used to build up a promotion and then gets thrown to the side when the promotion gets too big for it.
Well, when you do something well, you just rinse and repeat in wrestling.
That is true. All right, so we open this episode of TNA Impact from January 23rd, 2025, with the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. That's right. We believe in Joe Hendry. We have believed this whole time. Hendry comes out, says that he will put this title on the line against anybody, any place, any show, any company, any country. He will defend it in TNA. He will defend it outside of TNA. I appreciate another fighting champion. If you're going to take it off of Nick Nemeth at this point, you kind of have to make sure that you get a guy who's even could possibly be even more of a fighting champion.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, Santino comes out and says that since it's the first live episode they've done in 8 years, and Joe Hendry wants to be a fighting champion, which he respects, he has a surprise, and it's going to be his first title defense, and out comes Matt Cardona, the complete Matt Cardona. Showtime, you and I talked about a little bit about this before we came on, about whether or not this was the right choice. This is the reason why I'm asking if this was the right choice. Matt Cardona coming out here, because they didn't go right into the match. Obviously, they saved that for the end of the show. I like Matt Cardona. Most people like Matt Cardona. Unfortunately, when you put him in this situation, you're splitting the crowd between Matt Cardona and Hendry. I would have liked to, it's not that they didn't put on a good match later on. They did. It was entertaining. Cardona eventually sets himself aside as a heel during the match, but right off the bat, he's kind of not, because he's getting, if it's not 50-50, it's a solid 55-45. So my question is, with that argument, do you think it's still the right choice?
Yeah, I told you earlier on that I think it was. Well, let me say, maybe it's not the right choice, but it's not the wrong choice. There is multiple right choices here, I think. I think what their mindset here is, you give him a popular opponent that he could put on a good match with, where it's very believable that Joe Hendry goes over. Like, I don't think that you don't need that first match to be, oh, is he going to lose it already? But like, we've been waiting for Joe Hendry to win this title forever, it feels like. I know it was only last summer that he really started blowing up, when he went from a digital media champion to Billboard top 5. And so in those situations, I think if you really want to build a strong title run, which I think is what they should do here with Joe Hendry, which should be the plan. I don't want to pretend like I know what TNA is thinking. I know what WWE is thinking. I know that AEW is thinking the exact opposite of me. So like, you kind of like just go against myself, and that would be the move. TNA is just such a wild card. Like, honestly, if we would have come on here and you would have told me that Matt Cardona beat Joe Hendry, I would have been like, well, okay. It's all right. It's not that I think it's the right thing to do, but sure, of course, TNA, because they constantly keep you guessing. What you really want out of this title, you want this to be a solid title run, a really good championship run, establish Joe Hendry as the guy. And the best way you do it is you find someone popular who's clearly a heel. I know what you're saying, and the fans liking him or whatnot, but every time he shows up in TNA, he is the bad guy.
He's a heel.
Like, it's just because they like him doesn't mean he's not a heel in this situation. Like we talked about it the last show I was on. I know I missed last week, but I feel like there's no longer faces and heels, just the honest and the snake in the grass. Where Matt Cardona is an honest snake in the grass. Like, he will tell you, yeah, I'm in this for myself. I'm going to cheat. I'm going
to double cross you.
Yeah, it's like
it's like you playing Flick Cup.
The CM, not to ruin anything, but CM Punk makes a good analogy. I'm not going to stab you in the back. I'm going to stab you in the front. That's a Matt Cardona style person. So that's why I think this was a good choice. I don't think it was, at least it wasn't the wrong choice. I'm curious on who comes up. I would like to see Joe Hendry versus Moose. I know that they each have their own titles, but like a win over Moose really propels him. A win over Steve Macklin or a Josh Alexander. I don't want to see him versus Frankie yet. I
I
need
was just
that
going
to
to ask you that.
simmer. I need to simmer and build. That's got to be the first big like title defense where like he'll have a bunch of smaller ones. Maybe give me a Ryan Nemeth in there, just because of their history. Like there's some people who he can wrestle. Go defend it on NXT. Go defend it maybe on the main roster. Give me Carmelo Hayes is a perfect person. Let him face it,
That
because
is a good
Carmelo
one.
Hayes is only point of his existence right now is to make other people look strong. So that would be the way I would take this initial few months, particularly if he's going to come out and say, I'm a fighting champion. That means that in the first 3 months, I want to see at least 6 title defenses.
I was going to say, yeah, like one title defense every 2 weeks.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be every week, but it could be 2 back-to-back and then 3 weeks off. A couple tag matches in there with him and a buddy versus, I don't know, Frankie and somebody else. I don't know. I won't make anything up in that situation. But
because they're going to confuse, they're going to surprise us anyway.
Yeah, like Moose versus Curtis versus Hendry and someone else, where Hendry goes over on Moose, like things along those lines that will really help establish him, because I don't think he is established as a main player yet. Even with this title win, he's had so many close calls, and his rise was so meteoric that he needs to really establish himself as a guy that can carry this title. This is what we talked about with LA Knight and the US title, where I don't think LA Knight rose to the challenge. I believe that Joe Hendry will rise to the challenge here. I think that he's primed for it. It just all depends on the booking and how it goes over from here. So that's my 2 cents on the
So
is it the right
Showtime,
call?
let me ask you this one. Frankie's got that cup, the money in the bank deposit in the Federal Credit Union.
No, I thought that was
some point
Christian Cage's.
at some point he's gonna turn it in.
Yes.
Do you have him lose when he turns it in?
Yes.
I was wondering, because I know how heartfelt we are towards Frankie Kazarian, who, by the way, has also just recently re-signed or extended his TNA contract.
Well, he's Mr. TNA.
He is Mr. TNA. He's the king of TNA. I was wondering where you were going to go on that, or depending on how long it is, does that change your mind too? Like if it's like 5 months from now, do you have him cash in? And
if it's 8 months from now, maybe 5 months is too low. It's too short for me. I want to see this go a solid 6 months.
Okay,
at least, because you're establishing a guy. We were talking earlier about Cody, where I think you and I are both in pretty much agreement that I wish he was a 3-time champion right now. Like 2-3-time champion. He lost either AJ or Kevin Owens or both. We did not need a year of Cody Rhodes consecutively with that title. He's not that guy. He's not the dominant. He's a fantastic wrestler, and like I think, like when it comes to his actual matches, he might really be my favorite wrestler. Like the style that I like, and we always joke that like if I stayed in it, I might be Cody Rhodes right now, or in my dream state. And like I don't want to compare myself. He's way more talented than I am. Just like how I would have imagined my style.
I think he even does the shuffle back kick.
He does in certain situations, and like the crossroads isn't too dissimilar to the spotlight that I used to do, where mine was the turning stunner instead of a twisting neck breaker or whatever. Like we set it up the exact same way. We echo each other a lot. I'm sure he used to watch me in the Independents all the time.
Clearly,
it's just it all. But the humor aside, we both studied the same wrestling to become the wrestler we became. Like he is a student of the old school wrestling arts, the days of his father, and all of that, and that's why he wrestles the way he does, and that's where I was pulling my same inspiration from. So that's where we go with that aspect of things. But the point of this whole tangent is he's not Roman Reigns. He doesn't need a year-long or 2-year-long reign just because Roman dominated the Federation for 4 years. What we needed was something different. Him chasing the title and like finally finishing his story and getting that and then losing the title quickly afterwards is a much more enjoyable story than I think what we got. Not that I'm disappointed on what we got. It's just better, I think. So, but at the same time, Cody was established. Like we saw for a year him fighting Claw to get to the top and where he went. No one questions that. Joe Hendry, a year ago today, was relatively unknown.
Yeah,
And
actually, because you and I weren't even talking about Joe Hendry at this point. I mean,
no,
I realize we're not technically at our 1-year anniversary yet,
no.
but
At
in
Elimination
February and
Chamber,
March, we were not talking about Joe Hendry.
we were not talking about him at Elimination Chamber. He did the thing that every wrestler needs to figure out is how do you get over.
He got over.
And he did it overnight through social media. And then because I remember like looking for matches of him when he first broke through. I'm like, oh, I love this guy. Now can he wrestle? And it was really hard to find good matches. Like not that like it was really hard to find matches of him. It was all his songs. And
It was
so,
all of his. It was
yeah.
all of his promo stuff. Yeah, all of his songs. I think they'll do right by Joe Hendry. I think they're kind of doing right by everything right now. So I say it all the time. This is my favorite wrestling show. TNA has my interest probably more than anything else at this point because at least I get to watch wrestling and I get to watch a classic wrestling show.
And I can't double down on I have no idea what they're thinking any harder because the idea, like we go through our predictions, and even when I make fun of you on how many matches I have on you, Steve, it's like 11 matches over almost a year. That's not really that many, particularly when you add in AEW, who has a 45 match card for every pay-per-view. If we were to predict every TNA match, like there might be weeks where we go over, just because we were so far off. I remember
so far off
when we were talking about Joe Hendry in that elimination match, the 5-man elimination match. We were so far off. No one expected to see Josh Alexander go heel in that moment in time. No one expected Moose to be eliminated first. We said he should be, but I don't know if people really thought he was going to, and not quite the way it went down. So, like, TNA is one of those programs that really keeps you scratching your head,
keeps you guessing. So, subverts expectations, as you like to say.
Yeah. But it makes sense too. It's not like, oh, we're gonna do this because it makes no sense. Sometimes it makes no sense, but yeah.
They also booked their show as an entire show, not just segments, which I really like. Which brings us to the next little segment we do get, which is backstage. Eric Young and Steve Maclin are arguing because Eric Young wants to try to save Josh Alexander after his match at Genesis with Mike Santana, which was an I Quit match. And again, Mike Santana, Josh Alexander, they put on a great match. I feel like you and I especially, but just this show in general, we tend to catch a lot of it that we don't like ultra violence.
Mm-hmm.
And I disagree with this. We don't like nonsense ultra violence. We don't like ultra violence that has no place to be there. We also don't like date rape and murder. So they did an I Quit match that fully made sense. There was blood. There was there was weapons. The finish of the match was Santana manages to get his hands on the zip tie and zip ties Josh Alexander's hands together and is makes it look like he's going to curb stomp him through the steps. And that's when Josh Alexander quits. All of it made sense to me. All of it. So, and it was hard hitting. It was violence. And it wasn't violence for the sake of violence. It was violence for the sake of Mike Santana proving that he is the new standard of excellence in TNA. And the match was amazing. End of the match, Josh Alexander said, I did something I said I would never do. I said I quit. And I quit TNA as well. TNA management forces him to go out later on during the show to explain himself. And that's why Eric Young is trying to save him. The next match we get is a 6 knockout tag team match. The Ella Guy and Rosemary versus Spitfire and Masha Slamovich. Match is really good, very entertaining. Spitfire works really well as a tag team. They do a lot of cool tag team moves. I think they're just not super entertaining right now. Unfortunately, they feel like just wrestlers. And that's kind of why I keep pushing for the Elegances, the Elegai, the Elegance.
Elegai.
The Elegai to win the tag team titles, just because I think it would give a level of entertainment that we're not seeing in that in that knockout tag team division right now. And I think Heather by Elegance, the former Heather Reckless, she kind of shines during all of her matches, but does it without like overshadowing the other people. I think she has a huge upside and a huge potential. The end of this match, we get a distraction from Cora Jade, and the heels actually get a roll up and win over the baby faces, and this sets up more of Cora going after Masha for the TNA Knockouts title, which I'm okay with this as well. Again, this is the best version of, because Cora Jade is one of NXT's bigger stars. So this is them keeping it a little bit even keeled.
And get ready, this is the first tag team match of 11 billion based on what I see here. I know we complain about not having enough tag teams, like focus on tag teams, but this week was chocked full of multi-person matches, which I was just very, very shocked on.
Lots of tag team matches, although I think TNA did it originally because they were trying to make up for the difference of lacking of tag team matches amongst the other wrestling promotions, or at least lacking of good tag team matches.
It's just so many. There's so many of them this week.
So many. So we do get that Josh Alexander segment right after this. He comes out with the Northern Armory and tries to kind of state his piece, says he's going to quit, and the Northern Armory ends up turning on him. I don't know if this is a work or not. I don't think so. I know his contract is coming to an end. He's probably just finishing out some dates. Showtime, you and I have talked that he's wanted out of his contract for a year now.
Yeah, he asked for his release maybe over a year ago, or just under a year ago.
When Scott D'Amore left, right?
Yeah, that was when he had asked. He had one more year left on his contract. TNA said, no, you're under contract. We're not going to let you go. And he was a champ on the outside, at least. Who knows what happened behind the scenes and whatnot, but he's gone out week in and week out, has been a mainstay within TNA. Like you would never guess, in my opinion, that he was having contract disputes behind the scenes.
I mean, I thought he put on great matches. He did great character work during all of this. I wouldn't mind seeing him go to NXT and reforming the North with Ethan Page. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think that would be a nice foil in that tag team division right now. And of course, after the Northern Armory jumps him, Eric Young comes and makes the save, and they set up a tag team match between the Northern. Well, I don't know if they'll still be the Northern Armory at this point. Sinner and Saint was the tag team versus Eric Young and Josh Alexander. Of course, Steve Macklin is not happy about all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
I would actually like to see Ethan Page show up in TNA to make that transition. I like the idea of Josh Alexander and him getting back together in NXT, but do the reunion here on TNA.
In TNA, have them be like, hey, come with me. Let's go do this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go win tag team gold.
And you have like people like Fraxium already here, where you can kind of build that up.
I like it. Actually, I do like that. I like that one a lot. So we get another tag team match.
2.
This is the Hardys versus Moose and JDC from the System. All right. So first of all, the match is good. Before I get anywhere more than that, though, Johnny Dango Curtis, JDC's tights are everything in the world to me. They literally say on there, all gimmicks needed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in. He's got me there. I thought the Hardys looked better, have been looking better than they have in years. I think they're hiding a lot of their weaknesses, as you said, Showtime, the fact that they're 290 years old.
Old. Whatever. It's just a state of mind. And both these guys have run Fractured Mind gimmicks in the past. So
that is very true. But they are still giving on this last the Hardy train, as they keep calling it. They've been doing a lot of fan service, and I appreciate that. They're doing what the fans want to see. They're doing the greatest hits, and I love the fact that they're willing to just stay at a building until 2:00 in the morning signing autographs. Those are two guys that appreciate what the business has been able to do for them, and I like that. The Hardys end up winning this, but I did see some really nice tag team work out of Moose and JDC during this, which is really weird because we're getting good tag team work no matter which version of the system we're getting.
Yeah, I like that. I was actually going to say, and not to jump ahead, but having a faction that is very cohesive when it comes to tag team wrestling. I was curious. I was going to ask this later, but with the Judgment Day, they have a match with the War Raiders, which they don't win. But in my mind, if the Judgment Day had won the tag team titles, they might have been the best tag team stable of all times. Because every single, like almost every iteration of them had gone on to win
the tag team titles
in that situation, and you can make cases for other things if you want to say the Freebirds are a faction and they kind of came in all the time and did that on the Independents or the Von Erichs. There's a few other ways you can go about that, but in this current era, it's rare that you see multiple people just kind of switch partners and continue on with the tag team titles. And because usually you have main guy, second guy, tag team, maybe female to round it all out. And that all brings it up with here because I like when you have like Moose and JDC and you have the rest of the system. You can kind of put them all together in any way and still be a cohesive unit. They've been around for so long. Even the idea of the system almost aligns itself to be a seamless tag team unit because you have to trust the system, and these guys really do. So you could just like interchange the piece.
I do like that. I will say I guess the argument for stables that are tag teams that would go against that you could make against the Judgment Day, I would say the New Day. and maybe the Shield.
Yeah, I feel like
The New Day just always felt like they were technically a tag team that was just happened to be 3 people. They never interchanged they never did the Freebird rule. So
Yeah.
I'll give them that. Where the Shield at least was a stable.
Yeah, so like I feel like the 3-man unit really blows up that thought. Like where you need, like I feel like, is a 3-man unit really a stable?
It's a faction
It's
more
a
than
faction.
a stable. I guess that
like
would be the
splitting
difference.
hairs and semantics aside, but like your traditional stable is
like 4 or 5 guys, 4 or 5 people,
or the NWO. So 97.
That's just the black and white.
Yeah.
Oh man. Like you said though, Hardy's end up taking this match, and the next bit that we get from this, the next segment is we finally find out what this 23 that's flashing is. The 23 starts flashing, and Sami Callihan comes out by himself. We did not get a chance to touch on this. PCO's contract has expired for TNA. To go along with this, on Game Changer Wrestling, he took a sledgehammer to the version of the Digital Media Championship that he has. And then MF'd TNA up and down the ring. I digress on that. We find out that the number 23 that has been flashing has to do with the fact that this show happened on January 23rd. And the 23 is Steph DeLander holding the TNA Digital Media Championship, saying that she won it in the divorce.
Here you go, TNA. Welcome back. Good old TNA.
Welcome back. And what's more is, I don't even know how healthy Steph DeLander is since she needed neck surgery, right? Like, that wasn't that long ago. But she comes out and her new boyfriend beats up Sami Callihan. This is Mance Warner, the Southern Psychopath. Showtime, I said this to you before the show. I am unfamiliar with this gentleman. So in this case, I have not done my due diligence, but I hope to find out more about him. He definitely has a different look about him. He's not so big and bulky that I would think that you would give kind of the Southern style guy. Like, he doesn't look farmhandish, like the big farmhand dude. But that could also go along with the psychopath part of it. So look forward to seeing where they go with this. I could also see this being that Steph DeLander kind of starts teaming back up with Matt Cardona at this point too.
Does that mean the Digital Media Championship is now a female title, or is it going to be a male title on whoever she's with is going to defend it?
I think she gave it to him.
Intergender? Dominic Mysterio versus Steph DeLander confirmed here first?
I mean, it's not the first time that this title's been defended by a woman. Jordynne Grace did hold this title.
I mean, let's get that intergender championship. I want to see Days of Kaufman past right now. We've been asking for it for a while.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Equal rights. All right. So, I am not doing a match of the week this week. The reason why is because I think we have a tie for match of the week. And this is one half of the tie. And this is Fraxium, who is Nathan Frazier, and Axiom from NXT. They are their NXT Tag Team Champions versus one of our favorite tag teams, the Rascals.
Third tag match.
This is the third tag match, just on this card, right?
Yep. Just on this card. We haven't even gotten to the second card yet.
So, Showtime, this match keeps a hell of a pace, which is something that you like. Mm-hmm. There's some great wrestling. All 4 of these guys are kind of going full speed the whole time. And even with them going full speed, you don't lose track of what they're doing, which I definitely appreciate that. I know I'm technically friends with him, but also Zachary Wentz is so good, like so good. He like keeps impressing me with how smooth his stuff is, and he shows a lot of fire during his matches as a babyface, which I really enjoy. They mentioned that Nathan Frazier was trained by Seth Rollins originally, and he does a Seth Rollins-esque move during the match. It's the superplex into the roll through for like the Falcon Arrow type thing. I forget if he actually hits the Falcon Arrow on the second part of it or if he just hits like the face buster suplex. Either way, I hate the roll through on the superplex. I think it takes away it takes away the impact of the super. The superplex itself is supposed to be one of the most devastating moves in professional wrestling, and by being able to roll through it and then hitting another move, I say this term a lot, but it's kind of like putting a hat on a hat at this point.
But what I do love is this whole kind of passing down of moves and styles. I feel like I didn't notice this back in the day, but you see it a lot now. Even with Seth Rollins when he does pedigree. I saw a really good interview with Cody Rhodes on essentially anyone he ever teams with allows him to steal their moves. And that's why he does the Cody Cutter, like from his time with Randy Orton back up, feels like 100 years ago. And I really like the concept of passing down these moves, these styles, based on having a mentor or a partner or something along those lines. So I'm all for that.
I do like that. Like I said, I just don't like the roll through on the superplex.
Just not
that's a specific move that I'm not happy with.
Yep. Not disagreeing with the sentiment there, but finding the silver lining.
I agree. I agree with that. I like the again, it's the family tree of wrestling, so to speak.
Yes, exactly. And I don't remember seeing that ever done in the past. I'm like you always had to be original. It was almost like if I was trained by that person, I shouldn't do anything like him because I'm too close to the source.
Well, I mean, I think the first time we really saw anything like that was during the I want to say this is the late 90s during the DDP Raven feud. And they talked about their association with Jake the Snake Roberts. And remember Raven was like, "Oh, Jake might have helped you and done this with you, but he gave me the DDT."
Yeah, the inflow.
Which was that was always a cool thing. The end of this match, we get
honestly, he was the last person to take the DDT seriously.
The regular DDT, yeah.
Because you talk about the superplex being devastating. I remember when the DDT was actually a serious move, and now we get people like Randy Orton and I think the world of Randy Orton, but setting people up on the second rope to drop them, and then all of a sudden they're kicking out every single time. It loses a little bit.
It's a move to set up his finisher.
It's such a devastating, well-protected move for a very long time, and now it's just another move.
So I don't think I said it on our show. I think I said it to Hound. There's an interview with JBL where they said how do you make a move or how do you make stuff believable? And he brought up Jake the Snake Roberts, and I guess the interview they had asked Roberts about this and was like, well, what's the difference between your DDT and the DDT that everyone else does every week? And he goes, mine finishes the match. He said and the way JBL put it was, that's the only difference. He's like, John Cena's FU or attitude adjustment or whatever you want to call it finishes matches. It's not overly devastating, but we know that if he hits the move, the match is probably over.
That's what the stunner always had. It had that mystique. Whereas in the Crossroads is the opposite. I need 3 of them to put you down. When you get hit with one, it's almost like, oh, it was over? Really?
Oh, as to where the RKO, one, done.
Done.
Oh man. End of this match though, Wesley and his tag team of TNT from NXT comes out and interfere, giving Fraxium the win and letting them retain the NXT tag team titles, also furthering the feud between the former Rascal Wesley and the remaining members of the team. We have a Mike Santana promo. He comes out. He's so over. He's doing great work with this. I believe everything he says. And in the middle of everything that he says he's about to do, whose music hits but Mustafa Ali? And comes out and says he's going to go after the TNA World Heavyweight title. And the entire time, he's not even paying attention to Mike Santana. Mike Santana takes his sunglasses off and stands in the corner and kind of looks at Mustafa Ali like, really? This bitch? This bitch is going to do this to me, not even pay attention. I just had an I Quit match and he's not even going to look at me. So, listen, this is obviously going to lead to a feud or some type of program between Santana and Ali, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, this is
for it.
This is going to be what they call a barn burner. These guys are two so very talented styles that mesh really, really well. Like this match, if you're going to get up for a TNA match, we like to do this. This is going to be one you want to get up for.
This one, yeah. When they eventually hook up, it's going to be good.
Yeah,
and I could see them keeping this going for a few months. Honestly, I could see this being a couple pay-per-views.
This is one like Mike Santana is a guy that I worry about for Joe Hendry. I went on that little rant earlier on because Mike Santana is very much destined to hold this title, and I think he should be. I'm excited for when that moment comes. I'm just not ready for it to happen yet because Joe needs his moment in time. It makes me worried for the likes of Frankie Kazarian. Like Frankie could be that transition champion where he beats Joe and then loses to Mike Santana rather than having a face versus face match. But this is one that can really keep these two guys warm until the title is kind of in the same picture where they kind of boomerang back to it.
I agree. I like you said, we've been saying Santana's ready for the world title for a few months now.
Yeah,
because he is. He's ready for it. It's just a matter of, I don't know if we're ready for it because we wanted Joe Hendry so much.
Yeah, and I think that might have been even the initial plans. Like Joe Hendry ruined the plans for Mike Santana for getting so over when he did.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
We get Tessa Blanchard doing a promo on the ramp. I actually really like this promo. I understand that the dark cloud that hangs over Tessa Blanchard, I hate that this dark cloud hangs over her, not because she doesn't deserve it, but because she's so talented. And at every aspect, she's good in the ring. She's good on the mic. This promo is great. She's got Tully off on the side of the stage, like basically in a visible part of Gorilla watching her. So they, she says, there's my father right there, Tully Blanchard, the Four Horsemen, the legend. She talks about San Antonio being Blanchard country, talks about her grandfather, who was also involved in the wrestling business, Joe Blanchard. She's so good, and she's getting booed out of the building. Not even like she's getting like Dom heat during this, and much more real heat than Dom gets. It's cool to boo Dom. Tessa, I think there's actual hatred towards her, and we want to see her get beat up at this point. And if there wasn't so much past that's involved with her, the WWE would be smart to bring her in and have her do something with Charlotte where it's the next generation of the Horsemen through their daughters of all people, not even their sons. I think it'd be awesome, but it'll never happen because WWE will never touch that. I don't care how long the pole is. And finally, we get the main event of the evening, the TNA World Heavyweight title the champion Joe Hendry versus Matt Cardona, with Frankie Kazarian sitting at commentary as he does.
With his
I
coat.
love Kazarian's stuff. The match is entertaining. I like that he's doing. I like that Hendry's doing everything in his power to improve. That's nice. You can clearly tell he's getting into the gym more and he's doing stuff like that. End of the match. Towards the end of the match, Cardona finally gets a point where he actually does do some real heel tactics. And before he can bring the title belt into the ring to hit Hendry with, JBL comes out of the crowd and hits him with the clothesline, and then kind of wanders off to wherever he came from. Hendry retains, and we get the very first, and we officially enter the Joe Hendry era, because until you defend the title, it's not real.
Yeah, I love how everything's an era these days. There's a new era. Every couple of days there's a new era. But I hear you. I'm curious on where this Joe Hendry thing is going to go. We laid on that a lot earlier. I really hope they handle this correctly. At the same time, the JBL dynamic is weird. I like maybe the potential swerve that he's actually in Joe Hendry's corner in general. I think we were talking about this earlier. He likes to go whisper to people, and I'm convinced he just goes over whispers. I just like to clothesline people.
He got tired of sitting on the couch and he wants to clothesline people.
He said, I had an itch, and it was right here, and the only way to scratch it is to clothesline the hell out of everybody.
I mean, he's just wearing his favorite jacket. That's all.
Yeah, that's all. I have no hidden agenda. You guys just happen to be the ones here.
Yeah, should have been standing on the outside.
Just saying. Mind your own business.
But that was TNA this week. Legion, let us know what you thought of it. Please give us comments. We think TNA is doing great, phenomenal work. If you are not watching TNA, start watching TNA. But with that said, let's move on to WWE and Friday Night SmackDown from January 25th, 2025. This is the last SmackDown we get before Saturday night's main event. I feel like Showtime, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like it's a copy and paste SmackDown.
SmackDown has a really tough slotting situation right now, because it's the Friday before the weekend when all of the big events happen, and with Saturday night main event now in there and all of the PLEs they do, it always feels like you're leading into a bigger show, whereas in Raw is always picking up the pieces of that show. So I feel like we always get slightly lackluster SmackDowns in this. I think overall SmackDown typically feels a little less lackluster. And I think you're right. It was fine. There were some good matches on this card. I feel like storylines didn't progress tremendously. They just kind of set up Saturday night main event in a few areas.
Well, we get the open to the show is a Cody Rhodes in-ring promo. It's a Cody promo. Excuse me. I don't think I have to say anything more than that it was a Cody promo.
I like what they're doing with him. Like, if you bring it all the way to Raw and through what happened during the Saturday night main event and here, I like that Cody's starting to become a little unhinged, untrusting of everybody else. So I like what they're doing with Sami Zayn on accidentally haluva kicking everybody. There's a lot
accidentally.
Yeah, accidentally. Come on, we all know. We call it here first, by the way. We know what Sammy's games are. But at the same time, I'm curious on kind of where we're going. We have this Cody who is starting to get nervous, and I like the everyone's out to get me champion storyline for him, which might transition him from this white bread baby face to an actual heel, but because he's cracked, because there's nowhere he can go and trust anybody. because everyone's turning on him. And like, it's only a matter of time before Roman's after him again. It's only a matter of time when other people who have been his friends, like Seth Rollins and CM Punk calls him out already. Like, everyone's out for him, and that's only, you can only maintain that for so long. Like when he all of a sudden jumps, this hasn't happened yet, but when he jumps Randy Orton, because Randy Orton is the snake. Like, he is the guy that's going to double cross him eventually. So Cody's going to strike first before he does, even if Randy Orton never was going to be that guy in this situation. So I like where they can kind of build where he's going with that.
That would be good. I like the idea of him being the one that turns on Randy as opposed to the other way around.
Because
Man,
he's
everyone's
paranoid.
turning on Randy Orton now, though.
Just because he's paranoid, and it's like, I have some good ideas for storylines around whispers, and like the right whisper in the right ear really gets people looking at people slightly outside of the whisper of, I just like to clothesline everybody.
I was waiting for us to get back to that.
He just does. I mean, that's just being honest. Again, just honesty. Like,
He's just being honest.
Fun. I enjoy it. It's fun.
I mean, like you said, there wasn't anything overly different about this promo, though. The first match is the Motor City Machine Guns versus Pretty Deadly. Here's the thing.
Four.
This is a number one contenders tag team match. How is Pretty Deadly in the number one contenders match for the tag team titles when they haven't won a match since Nam?
Because they're there's 3 tag teams really on SmackDown, not counting the champs.
That's fair. And A-Town Down Under isn't even there anymore. Now they're part of Raw.
Now they're part of Raw.
So, I mean, realistically, I'm not surprised when someone beats Pretty Deadly. They're, at this point, they're not much more than enhancement talent. And if WWE wanted to shock me, I would have had Pretty Deadly win this match.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't have. I would have them go. I would have, post this match, though, I would have them go on an actual winning streak.
I see what you're saying. There's nothing about Pretty Deadly that draws me. There's
not
nothing.
At all.
Like, I want them to completely repackage them, cut their hair, and let them do something else. They look like a bunch of weirdos. And so I would like them
gone
to be not gone. Like, they're talented guys. I just don't like this gimmick. This is.
I meant this version of them. Gone. There is a Kevin Owens and Jimmy Uso in-ring promo segment that sets up a match for later on between the two of them. And we get a women's tag team match between Michin, B-Fab, and they are facing Piper Niven. And come on, Mike, I'll let you have it.
5. Oh, sorry. Chelsea Green.
But also 5 tag team matches.
Sorry, I'm on a roll here. I missed where you were going with that one. That's on me.
Mike, I agree with you. I love Chelsea.
Love Chelsea.
I am very, very over watching her and Michin go at it, though.
Yeah, I don't know why this is where we circled back to. Like, let her. Like, it almost makes me fear that she's going to drop the belt to Michin, because she beat her in the first place. I want Chelsea Green to have a run. She earned it. Like, we talk about earning your spot in wrestling a lot and getting over. Man, I don't know how many times I've said it on this show. I know that other people have said it as well. There's no one that does more with less time. Now let Chelsea cook. Just let her go.
I mean, they have Bayley over in NXT right now, going to challenge for the NXT women's title there. Instead of having her do that, have her go after the US title and have her and Chelsea have a program and make this legitimate.
I 100% agree. There's just so much you can do with Chelsea, and she can win in nefarious ways and be that, like, swarmy heel that she is just born to be.
That's the thing is, I think if you give her a couple former champions in there, it gives credibility to this U.S. title and her.
Yeah.
Let's see. They end up having Michin and BFAB win this. Like I said, I'm just overseeing these. I'm overseeing these two together. I'm kind of overseeing BFAB involved in this as well. This is just we're just interchanging non-specific kind of people that don't move the needle.
It feels like the whole SmackDown roster, even the good people who are better than that, they just kind of seem like they're there a lot of times.
Hey, here you go, Mike. 6-woman tag team match.
What'd you say? 6?
6 and 6. Oh. This is Bianca Belair, Naomi, Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax, Candice LeRae, and Liv Morgan. We get Liv getting the win on this one. She steals it over Bianca. Here's where my confusion is. I know they're setting it feels like there's this weird confusion with Liv right now where I don't know if they want to set her and Raquel up for a tag team title run or at least a program with the tag team champions, or if they're setting Liv back up to get another kind of run by herself.
Based on what I saw on SmackDown, on SmackDown and into Raw, I think it's a tag team. Raw made it very clear that they're setting them up for tag team glory and not the singles title, and it's a little frustrating because like she won me over, Liv, over the last couple months.
Liv very much won me over.
I remember when she started really getting into the spot after she took Rhea out, we were like, I'm not in. Like, this is too forced. It doesn't make sense. And we're just not really big fans. And she changed that opinion. She took every opportunity she was given and just absolutely crushed it. Great matches, great mic work. She really, really changed my opinion of her. Not that I didn't like her, but this felt very forced. And to now where it feels very natural. And she really did such a fantastic job. And now it's almost like, all right, you did what you could. Pat on that tiny head. Move on. Move back to the tag team division.
It absolutely feels like that. I was actually going to bring that up during our Raw stuff. We get Johnny Gargano versus Apollo Crews. This is just more stuff to build on the tag team title match that we are getting at Royal Rumble, which we're actually getting a tag team title match at a pay-per-view, PLE, whatever you want to call it.
Not at the SmackDown before.
Not on the SmackDown before. So Motor City Machine Guns come down to distract Johnny, and Apollo Crews gets a quick win, which is good because he hasn't had one since before Baron Corbin left.
Yeah. And even that the Street, I forgot the Street Profits kind of existed when I was counting my tag teams.
I think that still only comes to like 3.5.
Yeah.
The next match on the card, again, it felt like I said, this is kind of a copy and paste SmackDown, but also there's just a lot of matches on here that don't have much meaning. We have the SmackDown debut of Damian Priest after getting the transfer window, and it's him versus Carmelo Hayes. And once again, this is what you said, Carmelo Hayes just making somebody else look good.
So he does.
Priest wins this pretty convincingly for a guy whose saying is Mello don't miss. He hasn't won a match in a really long time. He hasn't won a match since he was going after that U.S. title.
Main event Jey Uso doesn't win the main event either, so who cares what they call each other?
That's fair. Well, speaking of Jey Uso, let's talk about his brother Jimmy. He gets a match with KO for the main event on this. obviously KO is going to win this, and obviously Cody is going to come out and make the save as Kevin Owens is about to package pile driver Jimmy. This leads to a brawl between the two of them because that is all that just keeps happening with those two.
Mm-hmm.
So that is our coverage of SmackDown. Like I said, it wasn't horrible, but it was definitely lackluster.
I think that's how you describe most SmackDowns these days. It was okay.
That is kind of how I feel, and it's also kind of why I feel like they're going to eventually switch the champions. You're going to get Cody and the big title over on Raw eventually, soon. And you'll get Gunther over here on SmackDown.
I don't want to see Gunther over on SmackDown either, though.
I don't want to see it, but I also think that that's going to be where we go in this world, and maybe hopefully Gunther can get some excitement out of it. Who knows?
I think you got to balance it. It needs, like, in this portal window opening isn't really doing it for me. Damian Priest isn't going to do this. He definitely could be a piece of it, but setting Drew McIntyre over here or Seth Rollins over here, CM Punk over here, if you want to switch Gunther and Rhodes, that's fine. But it's been so dominated by the Bloodline, and now the Bloodline doesn't really exist in my mind. The new Bloodline doesn't really have like the presence that the old one did. The old one is barely around and half built at this point in time because like Jay really isn't a part of it. Sammy is kind of floating around to it. Jimmy
he's busy becoming a heel. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. He's busy exposing himself as a heel.
Yeah. And Roman, so he just shows up when he wants to, and Heyman's not around as much as he used to be to kind of make up for Roman not being there. So, I don't know. They got to figure it out. I feel like there's a lot of floating pieces with no continuity here on SmackDown.
Maybe change it into a different day again.
It's not the day; it's the plan and the roster. Like you could easily have strong matches going into the weekends. And that's an excuse, and I know I brought it up. It's an excuse on why you can lean on that, but this could easily be with a few more solid players or a few more solid storylines could be substantially better. Hell, even if you would have just switched the Motor City Machine Guns with the Street Profits, I mean, even that in its own right makes this a better card. And moving away, like figuring out what to actually do with Chelsea rather than kind of circling this thing a second time makes this a little bit better. Making the Jimmy Uso and the Kevin Owens stuff a bit stronger works really well. Or turning that into a tag team match with Kevin Owens and somebody else. I don't know who's in his corner these days because no one really is, or everyone is. I can't tell. Versus Jimmy and Cody, like. There's ways to make
you make sure you get the Usos back together, and to further the idea of it, Drew McIntyre comes out to help Kevin Owens.
Yeah, 100%.
So, Showtime, I'm going to let you take the lead on a little bit of this Saturday night's main event stuff that we review. We do have it in order on our show documents.
Oh, thanks. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Unfortunately, I was not as into this Saturday night's main event, even to the point of not having much notes or anything for it. Honestly, I felt like this was another show.
It was fine, and I think the biggest problem for this Saturday night main event is that the first one was so good, and it was such a solid show. Everything was exciting. It was back for the first time. This one is too close to the last one. And there was nothing on the line where you really thought it was what was going to happen here. Rhea versus Nia. I'm still scratching my head on why this was the match. We've already seen this in a high impact, a high stakes Perth match, and at the same time, there was no thought that Nia was going to win this one. Again, Nia acts like she's stronger than she really is and kind of it wasn't a botch, but there's moments where I just wish she would be as strong as she pretends to be. Uh, you knew Rhea was going to win. Even Rhea's style in this match was a little off-putting in my mind. She went very like she was the small one in this match, and leaned a little too heavily into the luchador style rather than her real style. I don't want to call it. Only reason I call it the luchador style is because she was with Dominic for so long in that realm. It's fine. Rhea wins, retains. Everyone expected that to happen. There was nothing on the line here. Braun Breaker versus Sheamus.
Do we ever think Sheamus is ever going to get this Intercontinental title? Because it seems like no.
No, it doesn't. I don't think I don't know. Like, he feels very Chad Gable, where Chad Gable was definitely going to win this title. No, not going to happen. This was Sheamus's moment. I don't know what you can do to build him back to have another match against Braun Breaker. But it was a solid match. I enjoyed it. This is probably my favorite match of the night.
I mean, they keep having solid matches. That's the only reason that I can justify that they keep putting them in the ring together. But at the same time, I don't see them taking this title off Breaker anytime soon. And what are we going to do? Just keep having Sheamus circle back around to have them just keep circling back around to each other rather than giving Braun Breaker, I don't know, anyone else. I know I want him to face Karrion Kross, but anybody else at this point. Because once again, he's another one who's faced the same 3 guys.
Yeah, so Kaiser's next. Is he up next in the rotation? So
possibly Gable.
Well, yeah. I'd get down for Gable, but I don't know. There was no real stakes. You had Cody versus Kevin Owens, which was another rehash of them signing it. This was entertaining. Giving an excuse for Shawn Michaels to come down in San Antonio is great. Any excuse that you can get to have him come down, but at the same time, and I really did like Kevin Owens's. Give me the contract. I'm going to sign it. No, I'm not going to sign it. I'm going to sign it. No, I'm not going to sign it. That was fun because he was blatantly messing with everybody. But again, I don't know. It was just another peacocking segment. Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman was nothing on the line. It really set Fatu up. It felt very much a rehash of Bronson Reed.
And Braun Strowman, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of reinserting it. I had a really big problem with the ref in this one, getting physical with Jacob Fatu. Didn't make any sense in my mind. I don't know, and maybe there's just Braun was in the corner and got hit too many times, so you have to back off. But getting physical with Fatu, pushing him out of the way, then getting hit, and then disqualifying him was the ref's fault, not Jacob's. If Braun couldn't defend himself, then the ref has to end that match. It just
cool.
Yeah, and we usually give WWE's refs the credit because they're good at their jobs. They do count people out, even though there was another spot in this where he was like, "If you don't get in this ring, I'm going to count you out." I don't remember which one it was. You don't give warning. They leave the ring. One.
You do it quick too. As soon as they leave the ring, it's you guys better get back in here, and then it's one. But as soon as they leave the ring,
that's them saying I'm starting to count. Not if you don't get in here, I want to start counting. It's hey, get in here. One. Now you know you only have 9 more seconds. And then the Gunther Jey Uso match. Oh yeah, and I didn't love how Jacob Fatu just dismantled Strowman. He's not here to be that enhancement talent, or maybe he is. But he really put Jacob over, and now Braun has to go on the shelf for a little bit. Does that mean Braun's going to miss the Royal Rumble? Are we going to have no big men in the Royal Rumble this year?
I think Omos is coming back in for it.
Oh, cool.
I'm just saying. I
like Omos. I'm not trying to throw too much shade his way, but he does not have the luster that Braun Strowman has, or Bronson Reed would have had, or some of these other bigger guys. So, just saying, it's feels a little off to me. And then Gunther versus Jey Uso. I know I'm going through this quickly, but that's the whole point of Saturday Night Main Event, right? You get from match to match, put on it, and move on to the next one. This is a great match. Never expected Jey Uso to win. Main event. He's in that main event. Can't win it. I struggle why Jey was the one that got this match in the first place. We've already seen them fight. I would like to see somebody else come in here and fight Gunther and put on a solid match on that. So, but that was Saturday Night Main Event. Some pretty good matches. I know I like the matches in general. It felt like it was just thrown there, and it wasn't in the heart of what Saturday Night Main Event is supposed to be.
My thing, even with the Jey Uso Gunther thing, is that WWE had announced already that. I realized Jey had not announced it, but WWE had announced that Jey Uso was already in the Royal Rumble. Like, you can't, like, that's them letting something fall through the crack that they shouldn't have let fall through the crack on that one.
I disagree with you. I feel like on the posters and stuff, John Cena's already announced for Elimination Chamber and Money in the Bank, and everyone thinks he's going to win the Royal Rumble. Maybe he won't, but like they do plan that out ahead of time. But
Cena's not announced to be in the Elimination Chamber. He's just announced to be at the Elimination Chamber.
Fair, but
same thing with Money in the Bank. He's announced to be at Money in the Bank. And we're all assuming that he's going to be wrestling in Money in the Bank. Mm-hmm. But, like, this is one of those things where this is only, a week before the Rumble, and you're going after the world title. And I think they had said it, the week before, or a couple days before.
My headphones just died, so sorry if that changes anything for everybody.
Well, you got echo cancellation on already, so we should be good. We should be okay because it's still gonna go. You sound okay just off of your microphone anyway. So
yeah, it's still the same mic, but now I have a smaller head. Oh, I feel like I look so different with that headphones on.
You look so different.
Yes, folks. Breaking news. I have ears.
Oh my God! It's the biggest wrestling news we've heard.
So that was Saturday Night Main Event. It was there. I like the gimmicky of it. Love Jesse Ventura again. He was great during this match. I liked how they did call the area where Mean Gene did all of his old school interviews, the Okerlund stage or whatever. I don't remember exactly how they called it, but like kind of how you have the gorilla position. I like how they named it after Mean Gene Okerlund.
I do like that.
Nice throwback to history and giving someone who deserves that respect. So just little things here and there on that front. But then I'll kick it over to Raw. Do you want me to keep going, or do you want to take Raw here?
I'll take back over for Raw. We can always flip flop on this one a little bit. Like I said, I just didn't care for Saturday Night's Main Event as much, and it was just I honestly stopped paying attention a little bit to it. I hate to be that guy, but it was a lackluster SmackDown followed by a lackluster Saturday Night's Main Event. At least Raw was good.
This would have been a great SmackDown. Kind of the pieces of this on SmackDown that this did hurt. Like, give me I don't know, it's a lot of Raw people, but give me Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman on this. The Cody Rhodes contract signing with Kevin Owens. Like, a few of these things could have happened on SmackDown and made that a stronger show.
I agree. So we get the final Raw before the Royal Rumble. This is WWE Raw from January 27th, 2025. And does anyone else appreciate Pat McAfee's belt buckle during this show? Because it was awesome. It was... they're not even in Texas anymore at this point, and it was monstrous. I loved it. We get Seth frickin' Rollins to open the show, and there's a lot of interruption during this.
There sure is.
Gunther comes out
as a participant in the Royal Rumble.
Logan Paul interrupts both of them. My thing with this segment is I'm actually shocked it didn't get physical at all.
I think I love how when someone has a tremendous amount of heat, we now call it Dom heat. Logan Paul, I don't think has Dom heat. I think people just hate him.
No, yeah, because he's kind of a terrible human.
Yeah, and and I can't tell if that's a good thing for wrestling or not. Like, having someone to hate is in the DNA of it. He's fantastic athlete. Like, I won't take anything away from. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone take to the ring as quickly as he has, and I'm sure that he has a lot of people coaching him in the right places. And they always put him out there with some of the best workers to kind of gloss over his flaws. His mic, he just tried to power through the crowd, which didn't go very well. And I almost thought that Gunther and Seth were kind of making fun of him as he was going through it without blatantly making fun of him. But I'll tell you what, Logan Paul announced himself for the Royal Rumble. There's no one I want to see win this less than him. I don't want to see him win the Royal Rumble. I don't want to see him versus Gunther at the WrestleMania. I
feel like he's the guy that gets out there. Like, I know the first Royal Rumble he was in, he did the spot with him and Ricochet where they actually did some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this time when he comes out, it should be like 6 guys that all just jump him at once and toss him out.
Yeah, that would get a huge pop. Give me Joe Hendry eliminating Logan Paul. That'll get a pop.
Major pop. That the biggest pop.
And it's one of those things where having the TNA World Champion eliminate him quantifies it a little bit.
I like that one. That would be great. Backstage real quick, we get CM Punk, who gets interrupted by Sami Zayn to talk about the fact that the week before, Punk said that he's not on, that Sami isn't on Punk's level. Sami's response is, "You're right. I've actually main evented WrestleMania."
Which was nice. Hold on. I need to go back for a second. I don't get the fans, man. I really don't. And I know that I like to play this game of justifying the heels. But when Seth Rollins talks and they start chanting CM Punk at him, he's a face. Like, Seth Rollins is a good guy right now. This isn't Drew McIntyre. This is Seth freaking Rollins.
You sing his song.
Like, you sang his song as he came down. Like, what are we doing?
Fickle fans, man. Fickle fans.
Like, choose your sides, guys. Like, you can't have it both ways. Which I also like. I always struggle with CM Punk because I don't understand why he's as popular. He's a fantastic athlete, amazing on the mic. He is not a good guy in any stretch of the definition of it.
The only thing I ever give CM Punk is at least he admits to being like not a good guy.
100%. I don't understand why he's such a fan favorite right now. Like, that's better. Like, maybe over is the wrong word because I don't want to take away how awesome he is. But I don't understand why he's so over with the crowd. I just don't get it.
I don't know. I like I said, I love the Sami line on this one. And even more so, I love Karrion Kross coming out and telling Sami that he needs to stop thinking with his heart and start thinking with his head. I absolutely love that this Karrion Kross effect is a real thing.
He talked to him. Now it's over. Sami has been poisoned. He was already poisoned, but now he's poisoned.
Now he's really poisoned, though. Now he's going to start wearing a mask and not speaking English.
Let's see. They'll never know.
We'll never know. Oh, and the match that has everyone talking, the tag team title match, the War Raiders, 7.
7. Did I lose count? It's 7, right?
No, it's 7. Yeah, because there's no tag team matches on Saturday night's main event. So the War Raiders, the champions, versus this iteration of the Judgment Day, which is Dirty Dom Mysterio and JD McDonough.
So I'm talking about, like, if they win this title, like, you had, of the last alternating,
you would have had Priest
titles.
and Finn and JD, and then JD and Dom. All you would have needed would be like Dom and Carlito.
That would have been next. And then we would go full circle and gotten Carlito and Priest.
Somehow,
I don't know. Go over to SmackDown. Spit some apple.
I like the fact that the Judgment Day jumpstarts this match.
Yes.
And separates them.
So cohesive in this match. I really like this match.
Like I said, this is the other match of the week, in my opinion. Both of them are for tag team titles. Both of them were great matches.
This wasn't a title match.
This wasn't? I thought this was for the tag team titles.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't a title match.
Oh. Well,
I could be mistaken. Sorry if I am, folks.
Or if I'm mistaken, I also apologize. I thought it was a tag team title match. This is so right in the very beginning, we get that moonsault spot.
Oh no, I'm sorry. This was a tag team title match. It was the other Judgment Day match that wasn't a tag team title match.
That was not a tag team. Yes. The fact that we said it before, the fact that JD keeps working.
That moonsault is so pretty. He has the perfect arch to it, and
he hits that table so hard.
So hard. I couldn't believe they showed it too. He hits
more than once.
Yeah, and well, like, they did it after they knew he was all right. But that first time they showed him, they did not know he was getting back up.
And like we said, he wrestled the match. He passed out afterwards.
Mm-hmm. He collapsed at the entryway.
Like you said, JD McDonough might be my hero right now. I want to be him when I grow up. Really, I want to be Pat McAfee when I grow up. But JD McDonough he's a bad man, bro. I will sing his praises. Yeah. I already liked him, and
I was rooting for them doing this, and like the crowd, like, I don't always agree with the crowd when they go into a "This is awesome" chant. This one, I agreed with them very much so, and it is funny because JD and Dom turned the crowd. Like, Dom has Dom heat. He's the originator of the Dom heat, but the people were behind them. Like, maybe not to win. Like, they weren't rooting for them to win in this situation, but it was, I don't know. I thought it was interesting.
So what match did we see it a couple weeks ago? Oh, it was Dom and Gunther.
Yeah.
That they started cheering for Dom the first time.
It was great. I wanted to see him win the title.
I wouldn't have minded seeing him win these tag team titles. That would have been nice. And again, let's get Dom to a point where he's actually doing something. There's a little New Day backstage segment where even heels are not associated with them. Kaiser and Butch, Pete Dunne, whatever you want to call him, Butch Dunne, don't want anything to do with him. Have you noticed that Kofi, when he shaved his mustache, somehow that makes him look like a heel?
I'm so confused because I think the New Day's right, and everyone turning their backs on them is ludicrous.
Including what's his family?
Both, and Kofi's family too. No,
that was Woods' family was
that
the
was
one.
Last night, but didn't Kofi's family do it like the week before?
Maybe
I was sick, so I missed last week and went down, but it made it seem like Kofi's family did it too.
I don't know, man. I watch a lot of wrestling, so some of it blends together sometimes. But Woods' family did it on this show during his match with Rey Mysterio, and it causes Rey to get the win. And he celebrates wearing the New Day Sucks shirt with the rest of them.
I don't get the obsession with putting Rey Mysterio over on everybody.
I don't get it. I actually like that Zelina Vega is part. got the transfer window and is going to SmackDown. I think that'll do well for her. I will say one thing I don't like about the current thing with the. I'm still going to call them the New Day for right now until they give me a different team name to call them. I don't like that their new gimmick is just wearing tight jeans.
Mm-hmm.
In the ring specifically. Like, I get, like, if it was, I don't know, just whatever they're doing, it's just, I'd rather them just wear plain black tights at this point. I think that would be better for this, especially Woods having to wear the knee pads over the jeans. Like, I think that's what ended up killing it for me. And I realized, like, I'm nitpicking on something that probably is trivial, but
yeah,
it's our show, and I'm gonna do what I want sometimes.
I do what I want.
I'm just saying.
I mean, I like the New Day. I hope they do a nice little push for them. I like heel New Day. I like this whole thing of everyone turning their backs on them, but I think everyone else is wrong.
I've already agreed with you on this one. If I keep agreeing with you, I'm going to be the heel.
Yeah, you are.
Yep. So Jay Uso comes down and officially announces him being in the Royal Rumble. I don't know. I think he's one of the few that have announced that I'm like, Jay Uso's not winning it.
Yes.
Like everyone else that's announced so far, you could make an argument that they're going to win it. Like Cena, Rollins, Punk, Sammy, all of these people that are announcing. McIntyre. There's so many people. I don't even know who's over on SmackDown that's announced.
Nobody.
People. I think LA Knight did, but I don't see that one happening.
LA Knight, yeah.
Like Jey Uso is the first one that's come out that I've been like, it's probably not him. Here is which number tag team match is this?
8.
This is 8. 8 tag team matches. This is a women's tag team match between the women's tag team champions Bianca Belair and Naomi, and Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez.
This was not
for the tag team
titles. That's where I mixed it up.
I will say this. This is my disappointment with this. And like you said, I really love what Liv was doing when she was the world champion. And she was involved in arguably the hottest storyline in the wrestling world. Her and Rhea could have been argued that it was as hot, if nothing else, than any of the Bloodline stuff. And they don't even give her an entrance on television.
Yeah, it really dawned on me today is how instrumental the Judgment Day has been to Raw, and how well they've done. Like, they've been the focal point of Raw for a long time. This is the storyline A, in my opinion, on Raw. I mean, even over a lot of the stuff that Gunther's doing, like the Judgment Day. I keep wanting to call him the New Day. The Judgment Day has carried the show and done a really good job with it.
Really good job.
That's why I want to see Dominic Mysterio as the new champion. That's what I want. Everyone will lose their mind. It'd be so good.
Dom does come out during this match and distracts Bianca and Naomi. It gives Raquel a chance to hit the Tejana bomb on the apron. And we get Liv making the cover. And like you said, it looks like they're setting up this to be the tag title match. I wouldn't be surprised if this happens at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, it'll be fast.
I wouldn't
be surprised if Liv and Raquel won it either. I think it's interesting that when they switched out Jade for Naomi, Bianca became human again. Like, because they were this like inhuman tag team, but now that it's Naomi, they're human again. It's fine. People, they can be hurt.
Yeah, no one remembers that you used to be the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
You get a Paul Heyman promo that announces Roman getting the 2K25 cover. You also have one that's going to be the entire bloodline for that. That is kind of cool. I do appreciate that. Drew McIntyre comes out before Heyman can leave. And you can definitely feel the threatening presence on this one. Again, Heyman's facials are perfect as always. And Drew basically tells him to let his boy know that he's coming for him and that he's gunning for him in the Rumble. Heyman says he'll let his tribal chief know, and he says, no, not Roman Reigns, CM Punk.
Yeah.
Which is McIntyre just paranoid, or is his conspiracy theory correct?
I think he's completely justified.
I think he's always justified, so. This ends, or our main event for the evening is Sammy and McIntyre. Match is as good as you'd expect it to be.
It was really good. I thought it was really interesting that you had a split crowd here. As much as I like to say on my high horse that I think that Drew McIntyre is the face and Sammy's the heel, we had chanting for both of them in like alternating "Let's go Drew, let's go Sammy" style. The crowd was very split on who they wanted to see win this match. I feel like, and even the people rooting for Sammy were just more those people who are like, Sammy's supposed to win. He's the good guy. He's not the good guy. But this is a strong match overall. I think Drew McIntyre is like 11-0 versus Sami Zayn. There's some crazy number.
Something like that.
And now that number is that high, just keep going.
And this match, as far as in-ring goes, I love both of these guys. In-ring, both these guys are great. And Drew's doing some of his best work. I think we're about to find out if Sammy's been doing some of his best work when he, turns heel. We get Cody and KO coming out after the match to brawl. And we have another accidental haluva kick. Accidental. For anyone just listening to this or on audio only, I'm doing quote marks. Yeah. You can actually hear the quote marks I'm making.
And everybody laughs and rolls out. Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre. That was their cue to stop. Because Sammy did it again. Let's go.
And even after all of that, we can't end the night without Cody talking.
Yeah.
So Vice President Rhodes takes the mic. And here comes Phil.
Yep.
Phil. CM Punk comes out, and again, at least he's honest about being a jerk.
Yep, he's going to stab him in the front.
I'm going to stab you in the front. I actually wouldn't mind it if Punk ends up going after Cody.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the champion he goes after.
I think that's the better match. That's the bigger draw. Gunther, I want to see that match, but I don't think I need CM Punk versus Gunther. I think you need CM Punk versus Cody.
And again, a lot can still change before
It's going to be
Mania
Cody versus Rock, so let's be real.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about Punk like he's going to win the Rumble. It's Rock's to win the Rumble at number 31. But that was Raw. That's WWE and TNA. Real quick, Legion, just to let you know, I have been working with the Wrestling Society Network, hosting their Pro-Am show. I'm the Pro, and Samantha Mazzola is my Am. We review random wrestling clips. Samantha gives us our reaction to it, and I have to explain why they are important in the world of pro wrestling. It's very interesting. Please go check out the Wrestling Society Network. They have been great friends to this show lately. And
And on the last episode, you broke their brains when you introduced them to the final boss Rock prediction.
I did break their brains. They did not know how to answer that one. They were like, "Oh my god, that can't happen," and then they were like, "Oh my god, that's totally gonna happen."
Yeah, it's a good story. Like I hope someone heard that and passed that along, because
I hope someone is listening to us and tells Triple H to do this.
yeah, and like in my mind, having CM Punk win the Rumble and having The Rock come in at number 31 and throwing him out after he thought he won is fantastic story. There's so much story about holding CM Punk back from his WrestleMania main event again, and having the final boss like throw everything that happened at the first SmackDown on Netflix, the first Raw on Netflix, out the window. He's back to the final boss. That was just I'm a normal person for Netflix because I can be corporate Rock here too. I know when you're supposed to shake babies and kiss hands, and I know when it's time to be the real person.
I hope he doesn't even take the vest and the slacks off. I hope he's full corporate Rock.
Yeah.
Oh man, but with that said, Showtime, it was good to have you back. It was good to get a full episode, a full weeks of recording out of you guys. And we are going to be doing a Royal Rumble preview episode. We are changing up the format slightly, it looks like. We are going to have even more in-depth predictions for the actual Royal Rumble matches.
Yeah, still working for that. I've been thinking about that a little bit more with so many people declared already, and you no longer have to actually wrestle matches. You just have to say, I declare. So like, again, I know I did this before, but I'm declaring for the Royal Rumble, because that's all you have to do to get in the Royal Rumble these days, right? That's all it takes.
I just want to challenge John Cena.
John Cena, he's right behind you.
Oh my god, he is.
He's right there.
Oh.
And so I'm trying to make certain things. I'll bring it up to the group, and we'll try to make it a little bit special for the Royal Rumble. We've never done one, so we've never done a predictions for the Royal Rumble.
For the Rumble, yeah.
This will be fun.
We started the show after the Royal Rumble this past year. So, and immediately following our Royal Rumble episode, we will be coming on quickly for our 1 year anniversary episode. Mm-hmm. So that I believe that will be happening more towards the end of February, since that's kind of more along the time that Showtime and Scarps originally came on and the show really took its shape.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, Showtime, you got anything you want to leave the people with?
No, I appreciate you guys. Sorry for my nasally sound. I will be healthy again sometime in June, I'm assuming at this point, the way that our January has gone. We appreciate everything you guys do for us. Appreciate the support. We're over 200 subscribers on YouTube now, which is a big deal. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's constantly growing, and you guys make this show worth doing, and really appreciate you guys and all the support that you have given us.
I agree, and folks, we appreciate you, like Showtime said. And with that said, remember, tuck your chin when you bump.